What up, y'all? Everybody up in here? Come on in here on this Memorial Day. Well, hold on 1 second. Hold on one second. Answer this phone call. All right, that was an important call. Sorry about that, y'all. I was like, I knew, Yeah, that was an important call. And I got a very important text, too. God damn, why everything start? Like, right at 2 o'clock, I'm getting calls, I'm getting text messages. Because originally I had it starting at 3. I was like, no, I got shit to do later on today. So I'm going to start it at 2. And right at 2 o'clock, I'm getting calls, I'm getting text messages. My bad, people. There we go. All right, okay, cool. Let's get into it. All right, cool. Hopefully all the calls and the text messages stop. This shit just happened like right as I was about to hit start. I apologize. Anyway, we here. Welcome, chat room. Thank y'all for joining. We're talking about what's going on right now with Afrika Bambaataa. Because we're in interesting times in hip hop, in music. And I just want to say in black music, because hip hop oftentimes is a term that's overused. Hip hop is basically used as the term that black people, the music that black folks are supposed to be listening to. Same way it was in the 90s and the 80s when it came to R&B, and the 70s. R&B meant black music. 60s R&B meant black music. It could be goddamn Earth and Fire. It could be Martha and the Vandellas. 2 completely different sounds, still R&B. Why? Because it's nigga music. And when niggas are rapping, it's called hip hop. Whether it be Lil Uzi Vert, who's more of a rock feel, Travis Scott, or goddamn Afrika Bambaataa, or Kendrick Lamar or Drake. It's all encompassed under basically hip hop just means niggas that's rapping. R&B means niggas that's singing. Let's just break it and be clear about these different genres and stuff. So I'm not going to argue with nobody over, well, no, it's technically this. No, these are just all-encompassing terms that they use for black music. Remember what I said? And if you repeat it, if you hear somebody repeat it, tell them to remind everybody where they got it from. R&B is niggas that's singing. Hip-hop is niggas that's rapping. All right? In some way. But with that being said, we're going to talk about this whole Afrika Bambaataa situation, how that leads into him, because it was Afrika Bambaataa that really pushed the Kool Herc narrative, according to KRS-One. When KRS-One talks about how he learned the history, how he got it, is basically Afrika Bambaataa who was pushing the whole Kool Herc started hip hop narrative, which we all know is a lie. And then later on, listening to Serious Mind, salute to Professor Griff. He's one of the early people that got me on the internet. Professor Griff is probably like one of the first 10 people I listened to on YouTube. You know, And although I don't watch the show regularly like I used to, I still check in. And I was tapped in this morning while he was live, and he brought out something Chuck D said that was disturbing. And Chuck D said hip hop can no longer be used as basically as a means of freedom. And that disappointed me because I got reverence for Chuck D. Even though he said that bullshit to me on Twitter, I still got reverence for him. You know what I mean? And to say black music can no longer be used as a tool to our freedom when we've always used music as a tool to our freedom, regardless of how much they corrupt it, that was disappointing. So we're gonna break all of that down today about how you're noticing these people, and it's a big issue coming out of New York. I mean, we gotta call a spade a spade. The same people. On one hand, I'm watching the YNs, the young niggas on YouTube, say they mad at West Coast OGs for not giving it to Joey Badass. Like, Joey Badass didn't get nothing. It was a rap battle that people who were into those artists listened to. Nobody else outside of those interested in any one of those artists listened to that rap battle. And for those who've heard the songs, it was a pretty even exchange amongst everybody. So on one end, there's a whole lot of talk about throwing shots at Kendrick, whole lot of talk about some battle that nobody gives a shit about, but no talk about the gatekeepers of hip hop. Kool D. No, I'm sorry, not Kool D. That's dyslexia right there. Afrika Bambaataa with this. That's not Kool D because Kool D is not touching little ass boys. Allegedly, or according to this civil suit, he is. His default judgment. What Puffy got going on. We seeing this stuff. I was watching Tariq's a little bit. I didn't get to catch all of Tariq's show yesterday, but it was something he pointed out about the people, that one lady that was talking shit about the people down south and all this divisiveness that's coming out of that area. There's a lot of divisiveness and we got to call it out. Nobody right now is being more divisive and has been more divisive in hip hop, in black music outside than New York since the late 80s into the early 90s. Very lot of divisiveness coming out there. We got to call it out. So that's what today's gonna be. That's what today's gonna be about. And if you got an issue with it, tough titty. I'm not gonna change my subject. We gotta call spades spades. The same way just last month I was saying shit about LA podcasts that promote all this gangster shit and mispronounce the word podcasts. So if LA, my city, can get the heat for these snitching on in from prison, I thank God. I clicked on Loose Cannon's video like a couple days ago, and hardly nobody watched. I was like, yes, this shit's finally dying down. Ain't nobody giving a fuck about no Brick Baby, no Loose Cannon, no Big U. Ain't no giving a fuck about none of these people. A lot of content was being made on their names back in January and February. But thank God it's losing interest. And it all started to lose interest around the time I started talking about it. I called it out. That's when you started seeing a lot of those numbers for those guys calling in from prison do. Nobody gives a fuck. So if I could talk shit about where my city's going wrong, because no city's perfect, no region is perfect, and being that we are all Black Americans in the United States of America, and this is our culture. And let's make it very clear before I break down everything I'm going to say today here. Hip-hop, R&B, this music culture, hip-hop is an extension of Black culture. Okay? This is our culture. And hip-hop is a musical expression. It's a subculture. It's a musical subculture within the greater context of Black American culture. And different cities have different influences, but it's still all of ours. Mine, yours, your kids, your grandmothers, your auntie, your uncle. You got 4 grandparents that are born here, born and raised here, 8 great-grandparents, 16 great-great-grandparents, 32 great-great-great-grandparents, 64 great-great-great-great-great-grandparents, 128, so on, 256, 512, so on and so forth. This is your culture. So when people, because they've been blessed with a gift from God, like people like Afrika Bambaataa, and yes, that brother was blessed. He's a musical icon. Not going to minimize that. With great, what do they call it? With great gifts come great responsibility. And then, from my point of view, one of the biggest violations on the planet is the abuse of power. Having power and abusing it. I've fallen out with people I was once very, 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 very cool with. Not because they abused power against me personally, but I saw how they abused their power with other people. And I lost all respect for them. Once I see somebody get the sword of power and they use it to abuse, I lose all respect. So I don't have respect for people like Puffy. People who use their power to take, harm, hurt people. And it happens every day. I'm not saying y'all shouldn't do what y'all, people should do whatever the fuck they want to do. I'm not one to tell you what they should or shouldn't do. But once you make your move, that then determines how I look at you. So some of y'all may view these people differently. I don't. So I don't respect men or women that abuse power. I'm gonna fuck how much money you got or how famous you are. I knew one dude, we were in San Francisco and we had a car service taking us around town. And one of the dudes that was in the car was the person that he was, and this was the person that was like paying for it. We was like doing some, I don't want to get into what I was doing. But the people that we were out there that flew us out, they were paying for it. And that dude was talking to the car driver so mean and rude. This long before Uber. This was like when you still had the town car service type places. And I didn't work with them people. Just on how the dude that was he's trying to show us a good time and how much money they had, what they could do. But just seeing him the way he talked to that driver, that said, I can't work with this guy. He's a scumbag. You don't talk to a driver like that. That man got a family at home. He didn't come to work to hear your bullshit. So anyway, Bambaataa is somebody who, according to this lawsuit, abused his power. He was blessed with a gift from God, and you, with that gift from God, used it and leveraged that gift to harm people. And worse off, harm children. This has been going on for a while now. Again, salute to Hassan Campbell for bringing this out, showing the world. Salute to the Star Report for platforming people like Hassan Campbell and Layla Wills. And they're covering this guy up. No one's really talking about it. But they still want to go on with his theme that Kool Herc was one of the inventors, this lie. It's something about these people that come on with these hip-hop lies that got these sketchy histories when it comes to sexual deviancy. What's up with that? See, the reason music is all messed up, and it happens in the church, where we heard alleged C.L. Franklin do, where we heard alleged. The church isn't removed from this, you know. But this is a culture within music that has to get rooted out. Because there's so many great artists that are being corrupted and screwed over because people with power want to use it to abuse children and abuse people coming up in the industry. Yeah, music is basically being used as a buffer for sex cults. Yeah. And yeah, we do want to make sure we keep our eyes focused on your Lucian Granges. You know, Lucian Grange, I'm the one that reported on this channel When Puffy was initially charged, he was charged with the head of Universal Music, Lucien Grange. We always got to remember the usual suspects: Clyde Davis, Leor Cohen. And we're going to get into talking about Leor Cohen when we get to the part on Professor Griff calling out Chuck D this morning. We'll get to Leor Cohen then. But these parasites come in and they abuse. And then this great gift that God has given us, they come and they lie on it. And I don't like, I appreciate innovators. I appreciate where things start. I appreciate those that give us these gifts from God. I don't like the people who come behind the people who gave us the gifts and say, hey, look at me, look what I did. No, nigga, look at what you stole. At least give, it's only stealing because you ain't giving credit. What's wrong with giving credit in homage to where you get it from? That's why if I hear something, I love Black Alpha Network's channel. If it's something I heard from Black Alpha, I'm gonna quote Black Alpha. If it's something I heard from Thought Crimes or Tariq Nasheed or and any of these channels of Tim Scott, I like that brother Tim Scott, conservative brother. If I get something from any of these people, I'm gonna tell y'all. What the fuck does it hurt me to tell you I got something from somebody else? God give me plenty of original downloads and thoughts. Shit. The fuck I gotta hog somebody else's for? Sometimes other people say things and do things that got you started on a particular point. Why not show love for that? So we're getting a reckoning now. Told y'all this is happening in the cards. This is the year of either dealing with things or letting it go. But things got to be dealt with this year. Shit's getting dealt with. Puffy getting dealt with. I don't know if he'll be found guilty or not. But I told you in his cards 18 months ago on this channel what was coming before it came. And now we see it. So, you know, Afrika Bambaataa was a major voice behind this lie about Kool Herc. Let's break down a Kool Herc lie. We're going to watch a couple videos, all right? I played this the other day. Watch this dude right here. Watch this shit right here, and then we're going to play some other videos. I played this the other day, but we're going to play it again.
Is DJ Kool Herc, the father of hip-hop.
And DJ Kool Herc, who you have beside
the father of hip-hop. Wow. And look at that Bobby Humphrey album in the back. You see that? Bobby Humphrey, she's more hip-hop than you, Kool Herc. Well, all the shit that, all of her songs that's been sampled in hip-hop on that flute, fuck out of here.
you?
My sister, the first lady of hip-hop, Cindy.
That's me, the first lady of hip-hop, and with my brother, the legendary DJ Kool Herc, the founder, the father of hip-hop, the Rock and Roll Hall of Famer, the Grammy Award famer.
The Grammy Award.
That's it, the Grammy Award.
Right. Is DJ Kool Herc.
You see that? Rest in peace, Angie Stone. Didn't even mention, I don't even know who the fuck that is. So you get this kind of shit.
Because we are from Jamaica. We're immigrants. Hip-hop is an immigrant story. And usually when you migrate from Jamaica, you either go to Canada or you go to the UK. My parents decided to go to the US. And we always said, would hip-hop have started in Canada if we were there? I mean, would it have started in the UK? So you have a very good valid point in saying that.
She just straight up double talked. She said, when I leave Jamaica, we went to Canada and England. Then she turned around and said, I have a question. Would hip-hop have started there if we were there? You were there, and it didn't start there. But I want to play this clip right here from Grand Mixer DXT on the founding fathers of hip-hop and the whole Source magazine with Afrika Bambaataa on the cover. Listen to what he had to say. This is on Sway. This was, I think, maybe 10 years ago now. But this was a while ago. But I want y'all to listen to what he had to say.
So we just did the this full-blown photo shoot, right? And then
Wait,
so
wait. I'm telling you right now. I'm just turning it up. We right back to the beginning. Turn your speakers up, all right? I'm not gonna talk. Just turn your speakers up, all right? Because I'm not gonna jump in the middle because, yeah, these levels are off. So I'm gonna shut up right now and then turn your speakers up.
we just did this full-blown photo shoot, right? And then when we're done, TC Islam, bless his heart, he's no longer with us. He comes in, he says, "Hey man, I got to get this one picture. Let me get this one picture. I'm working on something for this guy," and I'm not saying his name, so y'all know who I'm talking about. We're gonna do this picture, and I want him in the middle. This guy, right? I want him in the middle, and so they took this picture, and everybody was like, "Okay, cool." A few months later, the Source magazine comes out with this picture, that picture, and it says the founding fathers of hip hop. And we were all like, huh? And then for some strange reason, man, we all just said, well, man, whatever.
Yeah.
Not realizing what the intention was with that article. Now, I'm not taking anything from any of those two people that's on the cover of that because they did do their thing. But the history has to be corrected. And they're not first tier.
Okay.
They're second tier.
They're second tier. So Herc?
I spoke to Herc.
Okay.
And I asked Herc, who would be if it was three, because there's more than that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? We have to acknowledge the DJ culture, and we try to pull it into the whole hip hop story, which causes you to sever your umbilical to the origin of your own cultural expressions, and you disconnect from the process, the stream that's going down where these things are growing. There's a DJ John Brown who Herc and Smokey say inspired them. No one knows that.
DJ name. John Brown, right? From where? What borough?
He's in the Bronx.
In the Bronx.
Yeah, he used to do parties on 161st Street at the Hotel Concord Plaza, up on the plaza on 161st Street. Yeah, and the tunnel. It's a club called the Tunnel in the Bronx.
And he inspired Kool Herc.
Both of them say that they was inspired by him too. Like they got stuff from him, but his name is gone. Grandmaster Flowers in 1967 opened for James Brown at Yankee Stadium.
In 1967.
Wow. 1967.
Is Grandmaster Flowers
they because of the nomenclature issue.
Okay.
He's hip, he's disco.
So they call him disco, right?
Right.
Okay.
Right. So we're gonna deal with that.
Let's deal with it.
Yeah. So there's this whole thing where you sever the umbilical over these terminology that got construed by people not doing their homework.
All right. Now you can turn your audio back down. People, I asked you guys to turn your audio up. Did I not say this is very loud? I said it before I hit play. Audio is very low. I'm going to shut up and you guys turn your shit up. I said that. Anyway, that was Grand Mixer DXT on the false narratives of hip hop. And that was him basically saying, for those of you who didn't turn your audio up, that was him saying that when that photo was taken, they were like, hey, yo, what are we doing here? That's not true. It was more people than what you see here. And it's more than what's going on. And this is an issue that I've been saying for a long time, long before I came to YouTube, was going to happen with hip hop. Hip hop is a feral grandchild of the blues, neglected by the disco and funk generation as something that wasn't real music. So since the funk and disco generation play hip hop to the side, funk birthed hip hop. but at the same time, it marginalized hip hop as not real music. And what hip hop got to grow up and understand is, of course, that was a shock to the funk and disco generation because for the first time in music history, samples were being used where you're taking samples of other songs and you're taking up 2 bars of another song and you're looping that over and over and over and over again with somebody rapping over top. That was new. Before hip hop, every single form of Black American music created its own sound, distinctly different than the previous. You know, when doo-wop came up, doo-wop wasn't doing traditional blues. It came up with new wrinkles and twists. Boogaloo had its own sound. Go-go, its own sound. Funk, rhythm and blues, rock and roll, metal, heavy metal, grunge. Part of the new music will be a new sound. Hip hop was the first to say, no, we're not going to come up with a new sound. We're just going to take samples of all the previous sounds and loop them and rap over them. So it was a culture, it was a music, basically a musical culture shock to that generation. So because of that musical culture shock, they tended to marginalize hip hop. And so what hip hop did to preserve itself and maintain itself from being marginalized by the rhythm and blues Motown generation, what hip hop did was say, you know what? We our own thing over here. Fuck y'all. Hip hop decided instead of going to go create its own house and say, I don't need your funk beats and disco beats, mom and dad, hip hop decided to move into the basement and say, no, I'm still going to use your beats, but we're different. No. Hip hop, you're not different. If you didn't create your own beat, you're not different. Same with house to disco. You're not different. Still disco, even though you call it EDM or house or world beat. It's all disco. Euro beat, that's disco. You just created an electronic version of what already existed. And the reason why that's important, is because the music is the thing that gets us liking the music. Like I said before, without the music, hip hop is just aggressive poetry. Without the music, it's just aggressive poetry. It's the funk. It's the beat. It's the groove. And I thought it was crazy that, it's funny, right here, she's sitting in front of a Bobby Humphrey album.
Is DJ Kool Herc the father?
No, was it? Let me see.
Because we are from Jamaica. We're immigrants. Hip hop is an immigrant story.
She said hip hop is an
Because
immigrant
we
story.
are from Jamaica. We're immigrants. Hip hop is an immigrant story. And usually when you migrate from Jamaica, you either go to Canada or you go to the UK. My parents decided to go to the US. And we always said, would hip hop have started in Canada if we were there? I mean, would it have started in the UK? So you have a very good valid point in
She
saying
can't
that.
even get her own fucking talking
Is
point.
DJ Kool Herc the father?
The founder, the father of hip hop, the rock and roll.
This lady of hip hop, Cindy.
She in front of that
Usually
Bobby
when you
Humphrey
migrate
album too,
from
saying that
Jamaica, you either
bullshit.
go to Canada. Because we are from Jamaica. We're immigrant. Hip hop is an immigrant story. Or you go to the UK.
Hip hop is an immigrant story. The nerve of these people. That's some Bobby Humphrey right there. That's some Bobby Humphrey right there. Yeah. That's Bobby Humphrey. That's the lady that she had, the album that she had in the background right there. How many times hip hop sample this? They literally had a Bobby Humphrey album in the back when they hip hop samples this Black American sound. They sitting with Bobby Humphrey in the background. She's talking about she's the mother of hip hop, but y'all use Bobby Humphrey music to make your music. You didn't create the chords of the music. You didn't create the language of the music. And then when we go deeper than that, it can't be Jamaican because you guys didn't start rapping, been rapping. Rap is Black American music. There's no beginning date to rap. Rap has always been something that we've done when we don't sing parts of songs. Break beats. Yeah. You didn't give us that. You didn't give us that. James Brown gave us that. Give us some more. Just give us some more. What? What? James Brown rapping about reparations right here. You can have Watergate, but give me some bucks and I'll be straight. You can have Watergate, but you can have your Watergate, but give me some bucks and I'll be straight. James Brown was rhyming over the breakbeat. James Brown laid that pocket for the cipher. But instead of Fred Wesley playing the trombone in the cipher, somebody's rapping. That's hip hop. What the fuck Kool Herc got to do with that? Answer me, people. What the fuck is Jamaican about that? Then they overemphasize this whole breakbeat thing. Not every hip hop song uses a breakbeat. Is this a breakbeat? Come on, Spotify, stop acting all stupid. A breakbeat? Does it make that song by Kendrick any less hip hop? Because there's no breakbeat? There's no DJ spinning? That's an R&B rhythm. That's Thundercat. That's produced by Thundercat. That's live musicians. That's an R&B vibe. that became one of the greatest rap albums of all time. You don't have a break beat. Still hip hop. Still hip hop. Jazz, blues give us the lyrics to R&B / hip hop. Jazz gives us the rhythm. And the combination of those jazz rhythms and blues structure in a 4/4 time gives us the rhythm and blues. And out of the rhythm and blues, you have derivatives of rhythm and blues like funk and disco. And a derivative of funk is what we now know as hip hop, with a lot of disco in it also, because it's all the same thing. Funk and disco are they're fraternal twins. Just like house music and hip hop are fraternal twins. So when it comes down to our music, hip hop is an extension of that. We didn't get anything from a Jamaican. Nothing. Not a goddamn thing. Title, you're too smart for your own good. Learn the difference between fraternal twins and identical twins. All right? I said funk and disco are fraternal twins. That means they're twins, but they don't look alike. The same bands that played the best disco also played the best funk. Sorry to tell y'all, your studio bands, the same bands playing your favorite disco hits with the same bands behind some of your favorite funk hits. Kool and the Gang did both great. So this is what we gotta continue to attack and address as Black people. This ongoing assault on our history, on our cultural creations. And it was Afrika Bambaataa that pushed that narrative, and it continues to get pushed through the likes of KRS-One, Busta Rhymes, and all of these so-called hip-hop teachers. And I don't have no issues with KRS-One or anything like that. He ain't the one out there doing what Afrika Bambaataa did. So I'm not grouping him on that level. I'm grouping him on the level of spreading false information. Because what they do with our music, Black people, this is how they do us. They omit. 99.9% of the music is here Black American. I'm sorry, I'm probably this. 99% of the music, 99.5% is Black American. Then they'll get a 0.25 that's African, and another 0.25 that's maybe from the Caribbean that shows up one out of every 500 songs, or that African thing that shows up one out of every 50 songs, and they'll say these are the influences. It has this African influence because it's polyrhythmic beat, and it has Caribbean influence because some Caribbean DJ named Kool Herc came to America and he learned from John Brown. He learned from Disco King Mario. He was listening to Frankie Crocker on the radio, and through being in that environment where these other Black DJs were already doing it, he came and did it too. But since he's Jamaican, God damn it, hip hop is Jamaican. That's your logic. That's your logic. And for you not to give, see, one thing I appreciate about people like George Clinton, the way I found Frankie Crocker And DJs like that, Jocko Henderson, is because when I was watching a George Clinton documentary years ago, I went to a concert. It was a 50-year anniversary of Parliament Funkadelic, and it was at the Greek Theater here in LA. Like a lot of the old band was still alive. Like Bernie Worrell played the keys, Diaper Man was still there, Gary Scheider, Bootsy came and got on stage. But at this concert, they played a documentary of Parliament between songs, and it was narrated by Eddie Griffin. And this is one of my favorite songs right here. And you hear the Dr. Dre and a lot of your West Coast have sampled this and used this, but
a good evening. Do not attempt to adjust your radio. There is nothing wrong. We have taken control as to bring you this.
When I was listening to the history of that song, George Clinton said, "Oh, that was just us imitating the disc jockeys on the radio. You had Jocko Henderson, you had Frankie Crocker, you had all these black DJs, and they would rap on the radio." So he said, so George Clinton said, when we did P-Funk, that was us imitating the radio disc jockeys. See, George Clinton, as great as he is, still is to this day, one of the innovators of both heavy metal and funk and hip hop and 80s rock, he still is humble enough to say where he got it from. And through hearing George Clinton say that, I then did my own research on Frankie Crocker, Jocko Henderson, and a lot of your radio DJs in the 60s, the personality DJs of the 50s, 60s, and 70s that were by the 80s for the most part wiped out because black radio wanted to go to this adult contemporary, and all these boule niggas started wanting to be better than you kind of niggas, and they kind of it was really the black radio that wiped out those personality jocks because they wanted white corporate money. Where's that book at? I can't find that book. Where is it? So, oh shit, I don't have that book here with me. But The Death of Rhythm and Blues by Nelson George, you can go and look further into that story. And but that's what wiped that out. But it was those radio DJs that the New York, the Philadelphia, the Washington D.C., the DJs that went outside started to imitate, and really more so heavier in New York because they had Jocko Henderson and Frankie Crocker. You got to understand, 1973, Frankie Crocker is probably the most important man in radio. And if you go to my interview with Dr. Logan Westbrooks, I released it yesterday. Salute to everybody who watched our interview with Dr. Logan Westbrooks. I interviewed the first black executive at a major white label in American history. Dr. Logan Westbrooks got his job at Capitol Records, left Capitol Records, then went over to CBS and built up the black music division for CBS Records. And so he tells these stories, and he talks about the importance of Frankie Crocker and those radio DJs. And then if you go to the show that I did, when I did a review of Be Real's interview with Egyptian Lover and Disco Daddy was the brother that brought the hip-hop scene from New York to LA in 1975. And Disco Daddy admits, he said when he was DJing and rapping and DJing, he was imitating Frankie Crocker. He was imitating Jocko Henderson. Now let's ask. This is what we would do when I'll be in. You see, you got to ask the right questions. The answer lies within the question. The answer lies within the question. You got to ask this question. What's more likely? In the days before the internet, when people couldn't look online and look through their phone and see what was going on in New York, you couldn't do that. People in different boroughs had to actually go to different boroughs. They couldn't actually, they couldn't just put it up on IG what's going on. What's more likely? This whole hip hop culture started from a DJ Kool Herc who had a party. He's a teenager with less than 50 people, according to the people who tell the 15 whatever Cedric Avenue story. Less than 50 people. Is New York, and you're in the Bronx, hyper competitive New York, by the way. Harlem, Brooklyn, Bronx, New York, y'all some competitive motherfuckers between them boroughs. A nigga will live 2 blocks from you, and you would treat him like he's a total enemy of the state. What's more likely? All of these DJs got this style of and then they always leave out Coke LaRock, the first MC. They talk about Kool Herc, but leave out Coke LaRock. But that's another story. So, what's more likely? This whole city learns it from this guy that has a party with less than 50 people, or do they all hear the radio? And when they turn the radio on, they hear Frankie Crocker rapping over the beat, jive talking, and these kids hear this on the radio on the way to school, at home with their parents, and like kids do at the age of 12, 13, 14, 15, they go outside and imitate what they hear on the radio, what they see on TV. What's more likely? So why do they omit those DJs, considering that Frankie Crocker was probably the most important man in all of radio in 1973? 1973, Frankie Crocker, you can go back and listen to my interview with Dr. Logan Westbrooks. Frankie Crocker is the most important man because Frankie Crocker is who decides if your record is a hit or not. That's how important he is. Every radio, every album, everyone in the world is trying to get to Frankie Crocker because to get their music out there. Frankie Crocker was so important. Frankie Crocker was so important that basically the government came down on his ass. When they had the whole payola scandal of the 70s, they targeted Frankie Crocker for destruction. They targeted his influence, homeboy. So you have this man along with Jocko Henderson and then different people. I'm drawing blanks right now. There are more people. Chicago, DC, Baltimore. There are more DJs. I have them already. I'm drawing a blank right now on some of the other names. Excuse me for some of the names that I'm missing. But these are the most important people in music. Something for y'all to think about. Now, I want to jump over to Professor Griff. And before we go to Professor Griff, salute to the chat room. Thank y'all. Thank y'all that's listening. Thank y'all for the people I be talking shit about that stay around. I like talking shit. It's fun. It ain't poisonal. Don't take it personal. Take the bitter with the sweet. Easy come, easy go. Get your Black Music Month t-shirts right now and get your Juneteenth t-shirts. Celebrate Juneteenth. Red, white, and blue. We are the red, the white, and the blue. Limited edition, 1865. Got cheering sizes. Also, your Juneteenth flag. Also, again, I'm still putting together my summer school for the youth. We're putting together a summer school music program that's going to be cursing free, friendly for the children so they can learn that music history during the summer. We're putting that together right now. Email me if you want to be part of the early bird signups as I'm still putting that class together right now. And I will have a link for you hopefully sometime or later on this week to enroll your youth. All right? So with that being said, let's go over to what Professor Griff had to say. Let's go. What's up, Truby? I just got your text. It's all good. Let me see here. Where's that timestamp? So, Professor Griff, Chuck D said something that was disturbing. He was basically asked about hip hop and basically, can hip hop free our people? And he gave a pretty disturbing response.
And the Caribbeans. And to use musical tours as covers that the CIA could
that's
use.
That's part where he's calling him out for being an agent. No, I want to get. I'll get to that part later. I want to hear this answer first.
Is hip hop still a tool for revolution?
Here we go.
Is a weapon for revolution. All right, but come on, man, stop that. Y'all got the right show today. I'm gonna be nice. Here's Chuck D on the Breakfast Club. Hip hop as a revolutionary tool.
Is hip hop still the best weapon for revolution?
No. Everybody got a gadget.
All right.
Charlamagne asked him the question: is hip hop still the best tool for revolution? Chuck D said no. Then sipped his tea. Watch this again.
All right, but come on, man, stop that. Seriously, don't do that.
Watch this again.
Here is Chuck D on the Breakfast Club. Hip hop as a revolutionary tool.
Is hip hop still the best weapon for revolution?
No. Everybody got a gadget.
All right.
He said no because everybody got a gadget. Because everybody got a gadget. You mean the same gadget that has Spotify and Apple Music? Kendrick Lamar showed us how powerful hip hop was with the G and X to be used as a revolutionary tool. When music is done with all heart and soul and purpose, it wakes people up. Yesterday was the 5-year anniversary of George Floyd. What was the song that was basically fueling people through the George Floyd protests? What did you hear being played all the time? Am I lying?
We gon' be alright. Do you hear me? Do you feel me? We gon' be alright. Nigga, we gon' be alright. Huh?
The whole George Floyd protest, that's what you heard. Music, let me break that down why it's so important what he just said and why I'm calling this out. And again, this is with respect to Chuck D. He hasn't done anything to me personally. But just because you have a hit record or two, having a record or two that does not make you the owner or the gatekeeper of the culture. We the people are the gatekeeper of the culture. We the people are. The people are the gate. The Black American is the gatekeeper of the culture, not the artist. And in our culture, we've always used music as a means for revolution. And that's why music has been tainted and targeted so much. Music has been targeted because of its influence on us. And just because they've infiltrated our sounds with Sexy Red, with Drake, with Nicki Minaj, and they've done a successful job of sedating us with these artists, 2024 proved that the right artist with the right message can break through the programming. And when you hear a song like They Not Like Us, personally, I've heard it more than enough times. I don't need to, I love everything about it, but I'm the kind of person, when I hear a song a lot, I get tired of it. So I'm not going to sit here and act like I'm not tired of the song. Play it every fucking where. But go back to how important and big that song is. We as Black Americans, that song was written at a time that our delineation movement is hitting a fever pitch. But the genius of someone like a Kendrick Lamar is this. The genius of Kendrick Lamar is the genius of all your great songwriters. You write things in a term to where everyone listening thinks they're the ones that's being talked about. I said this before. I had this conversation with the Commodore's producer, James Carmichael, when the song Brick House came out. He was like, brick house, we all know what a brick house is. And I was like, yeah, we do. He said, but do we? I was like, yeah, 36, 24, 36, that sounds like a black woman to me. He was like, yeah, and that's what we were writing about. But if the song is good enough, everybody, he said, when you write lyrics to a song, you write the lyrics in a way that everybody thinks you're talking about them. He's like, so my whole life, since that song Brick House came up, he said, I done had Asian men stop me and talk about how much they want a brick house, that they love they woman's a brick house. White men, Latino men and women. He said men of every race that found out that he executive produced that song have stopped him and told him that, thank you for writing that song. That song describes my woman. And they'll have a woman that's as thin as a credit card. But to them, that song represents, that's what great writing does. It makes everybody think that you're talking about them. But this is the time of, not only is it delineation in Black America, we're in Trump times. Trump wasn't in office yet at that time, but we knew it was coming. We're in times of great Americanism, like patriotism, Americanism, and all of this tribalism is at a fever pitch worldwide right now. So when you write a song that's pointed towards the times, yes, it was a Drake diss per se, but when you go in that lyric and say, and give a history lesson on, Kendrick literally gave us a history lesson on how the slave trade in Atlanta worked, on who really built the rail system. Because they always try to tell us Asians built the railroads. He used Atlanta for a reason to show the world that no. Black people out of Atlanta built the railroads. And this is why they not like us. That's what a song does. And that's just one song. Can you imagine an era of songs like that? the era between 1966 and 73 and 76? Songs like this by the Ozzy Brothers.
Giving up.
Imagine era. What happens? What happens when we have an era of that? Starting out with songs like that. When that era existed in Black America, we went from sharecroppers to the middle class in about 5 years. Do people understand that the majority of the black middle class that's being eroded right now, the majority of that middle class was built between 66 and 71? That's it. By 70, 71, they cut all that shit off. They opened the door from like 66 to 71. When they were trying to fuck with us post-civil rights movement and during the civil rights movement, we was making music like this. In the end, you'll still be you. One that's done all the things you set out to do. Stand as a cross for you to bear, things to go through if you're going anywhere. And then when they get to telling everybody to stand, they break it. You want to talk about hip hop? The hip hop beat? You want to hear this full version is going to go up on Patreon and in the member section. These songs are all going to be cut out in the edit afterwards. So if you want to hear these songs, you got to be a member. That's hip hop, nigga. Going back to Afrika Bambaataa and the Kool Herc and now into Chuck D. That's what our music can do. And so what they did, and if you go back to, and that's why I interviewed Dr. Logan Westbrooks for y'all. So he can tell you when the music started to leave from this and go into pop as you get into the mid-70s. When Dr. Logan Westbrook said the disco era changed how black music was marketed forever. And they stopped putting out music like this. And as you saw, as the late 70s came, that's when the whole broken glass thing and cities and ghettos all around the country and was going on. And, you know, we stopped rioting as much. We stopped fighting. The black folks that got into the middle class stopped caring about pushing forward. Because when the 80s hit, that same generation that grew up on that, then they came out with this. And all the niggas went to sleep. When they came out with this sound.
Just once, and we find a way to finally make it right.
When they came out with that soft nigga rock. When the black folks went from, in the early 80s, it went from the funk, from us really having our edge. You had songs like this from Don Blackman. They just took this shit out. That's black. They took that sound out. And they put niggas to sleep with this right here. They put niggas to sleep when this came out.
I feel like reaching for the sky.
Niggas got real subtle and real respectable and highfalutin and didn't have time to fight the government. It happened in the music. What changed? Hip hop changed. That's when because I'm bringing this point up for a reason. When they successfully colonized our rhythm and blues sound, this dropped. A fresh new sound, still using the Black American sound, rhythm and blues architect put together sound. The message dropped. And when the message dropped, it reminded Black people that everything ain't sweet. So when they successfully colonized our sound, you know, we was the old niggas with shags, that song. But niggas was put to sleep with that. And then you, Chuck D, after we were put to sleep with that, you, Professor Griff, y'all came with this.
Yet our best trained.
And y'all woke us the fuck back up.
Hey, listen if you're missing, y'all. Swinging while I'm singing. Hey.
You came with that. They colonized our sound already. Until you came with something different, Chuck D. That's why this is so disappointing to hear Chuck D talk like this. That's why it's so disappointing to hear him talk like this. Because when they came for the bullshit, you were the revolution. And Patreon, I'm gonna do a breakdown to this song, I think later on this week.
Yeah.
True to the Game. This song, True to the Game by Ice Cube, has been a prophecy. So we got to do a look back at the prophecy that is True to the Game. But hip hop warned us. You know? Then this ended up coming.
Now look at yourself, boy, you done flip-flop, giving our music away to the mainstream. Don't you know they ain't down with the team?
Giving our music away to the mainstream. Don't you know they ain't down with the team? They just sent they boss over, put a bug in your ear, and now you're crossed over. That sounds to be like you now, Mr. Chuck D. Put a bug in your ear. On MTV, but they don't care. You know why?
They'll have a new nigga next year. Yeah.
They'll have a new nigga next year. And Professor Griff points that part out. Listen to what Griff has to say right here. This bothered me, man. I don't want to hear this shit. I look up to Chuck D. I'll always give Chuck D credit for my mindset being the way it is. Chuck D, Ice Cube, a lot of my mindset and how I approach things in life was because Fight the Power came out when I was 7. True to the Game came out when I was 9, when I was 10. That helped set the way I see the fucking world. My worldview was set on songs like Fight the Power and True to the Game.
An agent now?
But listen, this is disturbing. I hear what Professor Griff has to say.
U.S.-backed regime change in Eastern.
Let me go back a little further.
Many legendary rapper and activist Chuck D appeared at the White House earlier this summer, announcing that he is joining forces with YouTube, Liar Cohen, and Anthony Blinken's State Department to become one of Washington's global music ambassadors. a role directly modeled, I should say molded, on Washington's Cold War era efforts to use the arts to inspire U.S.-backed regime change in Eastern Europe. Regime change in Eastern Europe, and we could add Africa, Central America, and the Caribbeans. And to use musical tours as covers that the CIA could use to assassinate foreign leaders. Y'all didn't know what the fuck I just read.
That was Professor Griff readings talking about Chuck D teaming with Leor Cohen, the head of YouTube Music. Mind you, Leor Cohen is the person that broke up Public Enemy. According to things Professor Griff has said in the past, Leor Cohen was the one that drove that wedge between he and Chuck D initially. And Leor Cohen, according to Dame Dash, is the one that drove the wedge between he and Jay-Z, between Dame Dash and Jay-Z. Leor Cohen has been behind a lot of black groups, black success breaking up. And he's the same guy who went on the Breakfast Club and said, yeah, I play that debaucherous music because it's going to affect your community. I got to eat. This isn't me saying anything about Chuck D. This is his former bandmate, the Minister of Information. Somebody we all have always known as somebody who got the information. This is the Minister of Information talking right here. That's scary. Let's keep going.
What the fuck I just read? That's the plan you're a part of now, dude? You are a plan, an agent now, to be a front, to set up tours for the CIA to go in to assassinate people and to neutralize governments and destabilize governments? And then now you come on the Breakfast Club and say hip-hop is not a revolutionary tool? Whoa, you got some splaining to do.
He do have some splaining to do. Because he's going on a national platform and he's telling black Americans to throw away our primary tool for means of communication, and that's music. Music is our primary means of communication. From the ring shouts of the black indigenous culture to the fire dances of the black indigenous culture, to the spiritual hymns in churches, to the wood talkers. Do y'all know that in indigenous, in Aboriginal American culture, there were these people called log talkers, and they would get logs, and they would tap messages in the logs and communicate that way through wood logs. Baby Dodds, the most profound, one of the most profound early drummers in American history when it comes to the drum set, his grandfather was a wood talker. Baby Dodds' grandfather was a wood talker. These are people that it was some spiritual stuff. They would communicate with the trees through the wood. And I know, like, people I know that their family, like my wife's family, she had a great grandfather who used to interpret coffee beans. Me personally, I interpret playing cards. We have all of these spiritual systems outside of Christianity that go into our music that ain't got a goddamn thing to do with Africa or anywhere else on the planet. Music is how we talk and spread messages. It doesn't get wiped out because Leo Cohen, Lucian Grange, and a few white record executives decide to dump Sexy Red and Drake on our heads. Just because they decide to give us Lil Wayne syrup music, just because they decide to give us Puff Daddy hoes and clothes music, just because they decide to give us Jay-Z I'm an adult fuckboy music, doesn't mean music is dead. It means that kind of music can't be used. But if we get an artist that knows, and we have plenty of them, Black American shit out artists that are top tier. It's still there. It doesn't leave because these thugs artificially elevate somebody else to the top. The fuck is we talking about here? So, with all due respect to Chuck D, I'm not, I hope there's some other things going on with what Professor Griff just read. That was shocking to me to hear. I don't celebrate in it. I wish it wasn't that way. But that's a very, very, very dangerous message to be pushing, Mr. D. It's a very dangerous message. Telling black people because we have devices in our hand, all the device in my hand means I can listen to it more. From my point of view. On my phone, all my music's on my phone. I don't have to pull out my records anymore. Pull up my phone. It's right there. Got my headphone. Look. We this far away from being communicated a message of resilience. We are this far away. We are this far away. Look at the song I had. I got my Earth and Fire playlist up right now. Imagination, then I'm gonna play Sail Away. Sail away. My freedom is right here. It's with me all day, every day, Mr. D. It ain't going nowhere. So instead of crapping on the art form saying it's dead, why don't you encourage the next generation of Chuck D's and Professor Griffs? Who better to inspire the next Chuck D than Chuck D? You a music god, sir. Act like it. You one of the gods of music, Chuck D. Talking like this. You helped Ice Cube get America's Most Wanted off. And we had the 35-year anniversary of that.
One of these motherfuckers.
We had the anniversary of that.
The Mac. Is it some brother in a big hat thinking he can get any bitch with a good rap? Rolling in a fucked up Lincoln.
Who's the Mac? That should be having you questioning how you spend your money listening to that. So this is what we're dealing with. This is what we're dealing with as a people, y'all. We're dealing with people who've gotten theirs. And they want to, since they've gotten theirs, they want to poison ours. These are hip hop's false prophets. Kool Herc lying his ass off saying he created hip hop. You ain't create shit that wasn't already in existence. But you had Afrika Bambaataa Snatcher perpetuating that lie, and then you get a Chuck D, somebody that broke the mold once, basically going on national radio saying that it can't be broken again. You must be from Bronx. He said, this person said Cube was conscious for one album. Man, they from the Bronx. It's always a New Yorker, ain't it? It's always a New Yorker. Fuck is you talking about? All of Cube's solo albums before West Side Connection was conscious. Laugh Now and Cry Later in 2006 was conscious. The fuck are you talking about? Nigga, you didn't even listen. Like, you stupid. I'm gonna just flat out say, you're retarded. Who else got the courage to release this?
Cave bitch.
Ease back right, bitch. I don't play that. Just because I got on my LA hat.
Ease back, white bitch. Cave bitch. Y'all know that? Ain't nobody. Who else? Who else got the courage to...
Standing by my backstage door, hoping I would switch. Spread out your little cave bitch.
That was on Lethal Injection. 4 years after, that was 3 albums after America's Most Wanted. Talking about one conscious album. If you don't sit your ass down. Hey, New Yorkers, I'm going to need y'all to step outside your little bubble and be accurate with what you're talking about, your assessments, before y'all start running y'all big ass mouths. All right? LA done already ran through y'all when the Dodgers ran through the Mets and the Yankees. We showed you what real hip hop is when Ice Cube opened up for the Dodgers and Fat Joe opened up for the Yankees. Yeah, raw footage was conscious. Yep. Yeah, Cube's life is conscious. Married his woman, had children with her. His black woman, she became his business manager. Wrote good, wholesome movies for the family to watch. Great comedies. Created a basketball league. Nigga, what you talking about? But I want to know what y'all got to say. Give me a call, 323-744-7425. You see what's happening. You see what's happening. Hip-hop's false prophets. I'm only going to take a couple calls, so call in now. Don't wait. Say you don't want to be the first one, because I'm definitely going to be up out of here in the next 20 minutes, so, or less. So if you want to call in, call in. If not, don't call in. That'll be cool too, so I can get the hell on out of here. Got a lot of shit to do today. But you see it right here with hip-hop's false prophets. Afrika Bambaataa came up with a lie that's now reached its way to the hip-hop museum. You got kids thinking this Kool Herc guy. See, Kool Herc, if he was so influential, where's his album? Where's his tour? Is there a Kool Herc tour? Does he have like a DJ set tour that he has? Where the fuck can you find Kool Herc other than in some library lying about being the godfather of hip hop? Where can you find this nigga? Oh man, oh shit! Come on, Microsoft Teams, stop freezing. Whoever that was that just call back. I don't know what the fuck just happened. Where is hip hop is a form of music with a style of dress, a style of dance, and other elements of lingo. What lingo did Kool Herc bring to hip hop? The word cool came from bebop. Lester Young gave us that term. So where did you bring Kool Herc to hip hop that did not already exist before you got there? What's up, Carter? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, what to do, man? Roby Shot here in Dallas. Much respect to you, man.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind, brother?
Look, when it comes to hip hop, a lot of people approach it like it's just a genre. That's why I say black people don't make music. We put our life to wax. To us, we pull things from it dealing with life. We hear it's culture to us because we hear us. To everybody else, it's just merely music, and you're only going to identify it and value it in a utility, a perceived utility, not a perceived identity. For some reason, Chuck D does. I don't know if he identified with the culture of hip hop or if it was just a medium for him to get into to voice an opinion or something. They say he a tether or whatever. So, I mean, I don't consider all foreign, so-called black people tethers or whatever. It's just that based off a perspective of either a lack of a respectable adherence to a black cultural perspective, we can give them that. But yeah, I think most people, they view us in this hyper commodified form and not as a culture, not as a people. And I think delineation is actually eroding a lot of that. So
it is.
I'll leave it for there.
Yeah, man. Thanks for giving us a call. He right.
Peace, man.
Delineation is most definitely eroding a lot of that. Carl Lane, thanks for the super chat. Kool Herc is the greatest table setter in history. He can set up a good table and play other folks' music with the best of them. Yeah, man. Yeah, delineation movement is great because it is. And when you limit hip hop to extending a breakbeat, you're only talking about such a small part of hip hop. And hip hop isn't the only music to isolate a breakbeat. So does house. So, and then you write out Larry Smith, hip hop's first mega producer. This is an isolated breakbeat. Ain't no isolating no breakbeat on that song.
A written lesson, but to have had love was a definite lesson.
Those movements, those changes, that's not looping a breakbeat. That's not looping a breakbeat. That's music Larry Smith was creating. What's up, Carter? What's your name? Where you calling from?
ADO in Underhanded, Indiana.
ADO, what's on your mind?
Yo, I was wondering I don't know if you keep up with Bun B, but, when Bun B went solo, he did the Trill albums, and I always wondered, who had a better album run after 2006 Ice Cube with Laugh Now, Cry Later, and then Bun B with the Trill albums. Who had the better solo run? Like 2006 Cube. Don't get it twisted, because you know what I mean. Because
I don't really rank it, because really, as artists get later on in their career, the people who follow them most are going to be the ones that's most intrigued by their music. You're not going to find things like that's going to cross over that late in someone's career and really cast a wide net. So for that reason, I can't really rank it. It comes down to who you like. Me personally, I'm always gonna say Ice Cube because I like him more than I like Bun B. I'm not a fan of that particular style that Bun B put out. But I'm also not from that region. I'm not from that area. The people who like Bun B, they're gonna just pick that. So one thing we got to get out of the argument of was what's better. It's all about what speaks to you. That's all that matters.
Right. Salute, man. I love what you're doing, man. Keep up the good work.
All right, man. You have a good one. Shit, LA Man, 2006, I was going back and forth between Laugh Now and Cry Later and the blue carpet treatment. Shit, I love my motherfucking consciousness. I do. But I like music that ain't talking about shit too. This shit dropped. When this shit dropped right here. Oh boy, 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 boy. These streets be walking down the avenue. Crazy. Always up to no good. Nigga, that's my man. That's my shit. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Dewambi. This is Jacoby from Portland, Oregon.
Jacoby, what's on your mind?
Not much, man. Yeah, Afrika Bambaataa, he took the oath, man.
Yeah.
That's the only way you're going to get ahead. And it sounded like, man, Chuck D, man, I grew up listening to, man, he looked like he just couldn't take it no more. He just kind of gave in too. And those two bozos that was being interviewed, I was actually more offended by the lady who said that hip hop or rap culture is an immigrant thing. And I'm not as astute as hip hop as you. I consider you as the teacher. And even I'm offended. So, sometimes, all three of them need their ass whipped, okay? The interviewer needs his ass whipped for not asking tough questions. And those two need to be checked just for even doing that. Delineation was kind of the best thing that ever happened to Black Americans, man, because now nobody is hiding their feelings anymore. Everybody's just kind of showing their ass, and that's good. At the same time, being pissed off, because when we shared culture, we weren't thinking on the lines of as business as usual. We were just like, okay, cool. I can share my culture. You can share I can share yours. You can share mine. We're all in this together. Not realizing folks start feeling themselves and start saying, like Juicy Smoke said, I'm the gay Tupac. And that's what a lot of them are. It's I'm the tethered Tupac. I mean, like this, give us our due. Nobody's asking a lot. Nobody's asking, but just give us our due.
That just really shows it just highlights how little they respect us at the end of the day, and by extension, how little they respect themselves, man. But I got to take the other call, man. Thanks for giving us a call.
You too.
Yeah. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Yo, this is Loud calling from H-Town.
Loud from H-Town. What's on your mind, brother?
Oh, man, I can't call it. No, just to go back on the subject, sometimes, especially when you really get deep into your hip-hop history that you are really good at, it's a lot of the East Coast cats and the New York cats, mainly tethers and immigrants that really speak down on certain eras of hip-hop as if you're the creators and the innovators and the originators, but all that came from, Southern, Midwest, those that moved to the West Coast, because I got a lot of family, even back in the days in the 30s and 40s, that moved out to the West Coast and to the Midwest, and they branched out, and they took a lot of that jazz, that blues, that old school R&B, those beat breaks that you constantly talk about, those drum breaks. And my brother, he's a drum player, and he's cold with it. I can't play an instrument to save my life, but he's good at it. But he understands the history behind what his symbols represent, what his different, tapped, all that stuff. You know about that. But when you spoke about the integration of different aspects of hip hop versus what's going on today, you can see the big generation skip and generation gap between the mid to late 80s to the early 90s to the mid 90s. I don't know if you can hear me or not.
No, keep going.
Okay, but like you said, you hear the drum breaks, but you hear the mimic of the same style that was going on, and during the civil rights era when James Brown really started just breaking. They didn't move it
forward because what they did, like at best, you had Death Row Records that was doing live samples, where they basically a live version of it. but they weren't really doing anything new. The new stuff was going over in rhythm and blues and jazz, and so that was the neo soul was more so giving us was newer in music. What D'Angelo was doing, and Roy, it didn't like an acid jazz, Roy Hargrove. That's where your progression was going over there. The hip hop was still just taking the samples of what had already been done. That's why I was saying hip hop can't remove itself from the rooted in Black American sound because it didn't. Although you had your Larry Smiths and some original sounds, those original styles were still rhythm and blues based sounds. But the majority of what you find called hits in hip hop was lifting drum parts, lifting organ parts, lifting hooks from the 70s.
And it's crazy how you say that real quick, and I'm gonna land my plane. Now, in the early, like I said, I'm an '80s baby. So in the early '90s, I used to I snuck in, Dr. Dre, The Chronic, Tupac, All Eyes on Me, and, you know what I'm saying? Those early, West Coast hip hop albums, and they were sampling a lot of the, the P-Funk era. And the only way my old man stole my CDs. As soon as he saw that parental advisory, he had seen all that stuff on the news. He took my CDs. You can't listen to this. You too young. But he was the one to put in the Snoop Dogg Doggy Style album and actually listen to it. And when he heard that beat, when it first dropped, when he heard The Chronic, when those beats were dropping, when he heard You Can't See Me and that beat drop, he was like, it took me back to his era. And he was like, yeah, you know what? I'll let you listen to some of this, but I got to listen to it first. But he was jamming at the same time, and that introduced him to the new era of what his generation was fighting against. You know what I'm saying? Like, hold on, you
we get
put us to sleep, but you're waking us up again because the movement, the beats, the rhythm, the drums, the acoustics, everything is natural at the same time being blended together with different styles.
Yes, sir,
you
man.
Can't fight that. So I'm gonna land my plane with
talk,
that.
Man. I got the other call, man. Let's give us a call. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right, bet. Thank you.
What's up, caller? Give us 1 second. What he was talking about. This is what he was talking about.
Y'all niggas know who I am. Y'all niggas tearing up shit. But we got something.
That's what he's talking about when you bring the dramatics into it.
Dog Pound and the family dramatics.
It's like everywhere I look and everywhere I go, I'm hearing motherfucker.
Nigga, what? On that ride symbol? That ain't no nigga, what? That's Black America right there. That's Snoop with the dramatics. That's Snoop with the dramatics. L.J. Reynolds. That's one thing is Snoop Dogg and me. He's the one that sang this. This is the dramatics, right? What y'all know about this? It's all our music. Like here. L.J. Reynolds with the dramatics. What? Y'all heard that soul? Y'all heard him crying? That's that soul from the 70s. Can't get over you. The soul. That's how you know it's our music. These cats can jump from that to Doggy Dog World. And this is what happened when the West Coast funk goes down south with Master P and hook up.
Yeah. A little something for all the OGs out there that put the foundation together.
Nigga, what? It's all one sound.
That's real talk right there, baby.
Does that sound anything like this? Does that fit? Does the mathematics on that song fit with what's going on in hip hop? Now I'll tell you what it does fit in.
Get up, stand up.
Does that sound anything like Snoop? No, it don't. But I'll tell you where Bob Marley got that from. I'll tell you where he got that from. He got that from this vamp from War. Uh-huh. Y'all hear that? Stand up. Stand up for your rights. That came from Slipping Into Darkness by War out of L.A., Long Beach, and Compton. So again, when people want to say hip-hop is Jamaican, no. Jamaican is a rendition of what we were doing first. But it still don't fit into hip-hop. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, dog. Hey, dog. What's up, man? It's from Illinois.
Yes, sir. What's on your mind?
It's funny that they saying all that because it's that dumb crap that Melly Mills said after he did this stuff with Tyree Nasir with his documentary. They're gonna try to backpedal on trying to say that it come to hip hop is Bronx culture. I'm like, it comes from different areas around the United States. I'm like, all the elements didn't really emerge from the East Coast like that. Then, like, not only that, if you want to talk about what's really Bronx culture, then like you don't need to use all the records from different areas around the United States and all that if you want to keep it strictly Bronx culture. It came from the black people from the Bronx.
We did a show on that, talking about that Melly Mel said that bullshit. We all know that's a lie.
Man.
It's a lie.
It's just not him who said that. It was like that other dude who was with the black or something.
Let me give you a way to answer that for these people, all right? I don't know what happened. Just hung up. Let me give you a way to answer that for people like that. You just ask them, okay, well, how did LA get this? When there are no people from the Bronx in LA, so how did LA hip hop grow? If it's Bronx culture,
right.
Why was it Too Short? It's just been around rapping just as long as LL Cool J. But they just give us a call. I got a few more calls I got to answer, man. Thanks again. We just ask them, okay, why is Too Short? Why has he been rapping just as long as Afrika Bambaataa and LL Cool J? What's up, caller? What's the name? Where you calling from?
Peace and Black Power. This is Herc Owens calling from Los Angeles, brother.
What's up, Herc? What's on your mind, brother?
All right, black man. Man, I can't believe I wrote a letter to the government. You know, Mr. Hardcore Militant, Mr. Chuck D sold out like that, man. That's some crazy stuff, bro.
Man.
You know.
See,
that's why LA. I'm glad LA always stayed down. You know, LA hip hop pretty much brought a balance to what New York was doing, and pretty much took it over. So we don't need Mr. Chuck D and Mr. Afrika Bambaataa Bandit to speak on our behalf. You know, we representing that West Coast, and that's what it's about out here.
Man, you ain't lying, brother. Nice for giving us a call.
Yes, sir. Peace.
Appreciate that, Herc. Yeah. You need that balance. Need that balance. I'll take this one last call before I get the hell up out of here. What's up, caller? What's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Dewan, what's up, man? This is Danny calling from Vegas.
Danny from Vegas. What's on your mind, brother?
Not a whole lot. Something about with Kool Herc, it's something that makes me think is with all these interviews that go on these days, I never really heard a definitive interview from Kool Herc. It's always what somebody else is saying. It's never like, now let me straighten you out because this is what actually happened. It's always other people having to speak up for another man. Mm-hmm. I always wondered, like, what is his story? Because it's always a secondhand account. And it almost feels, kind of dishonest to have such an uproar over a subject talking about you, and you don't ever say anything about it, to the point people go back and forth and argue over your legacy, but you never correct nobody so that we can get the story straight. And if I'm considered a godfather or something, and all my so-called children are talking about what I did, and I don't never come and check on the children and say, let me tell you what really happened while I'm still alive, and I can actually straighten it out myself. I just thought that's real interesting. Even before the current, the FBA wave with talking about music and how the music gets infiltrated and everything, there was never no real heavy interviews from him before then. even when they did like the show and Rhyme and Reason and all the hip hop documentaries, he never talks about nothing. So
Right, never talks about it. He's always this sort of this, it's almost like they pulled him out like they do a donkey and feed him some carrots in front of the crowd and take him to the petting zoo, then walk him back to the back. It's never him parading. It's kind of like it's almost like he's a display trophy for the people that have been trying to rewrite this narrative. You know what I mean?
Right.
Bring him out. Let's bring him out to the circus. Let's take him to the petting zoo. Let the kids pet on him and feed him a couple carrots. Show everybody that he's here.
But don't
Ask a
let
couple
him talk.
questions. Yeah, and then go on back to the back. That's what it is. And I think that Kool Herc shouldn't allow them to pay him like that. But he can stop that by telling the truth. All right, man. But thanks for giving us a call, brother.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So you see how I go, man. But I gotta get up out of here. Thank y'all again for listening. Give me 1 second. Thank y'all again for listening. Gotta take this call. Appreciate y'all for joining. And go to DewanB.com for all your good shit. Go to my website. Get your reading reports. Get your t-shirts. It is Black Music Month coming up, so get your shit right now, all right? I'll holler at y'all later on. We out.